Hi everybody, and welcome to New England Newsmakers. I'm Tim Estiloz, and tonight we're getting a brush with fame because we are here in the studios of the world-famous artist, Paul Goodnight. Goodnight's work decorates the homes of celebrities like Maya Angelou and Samuel L. Jackson, as well as the halls of the Smithsonian Institute. Now, Paul, your work is known throughout the world and collected by so many people. What are some of the most important themes that you try to convey through your art?
Actually, most of what I do is my experience. It's either travel or places I've been, or themes like music, sports, something that I'm really familiar with, because that way, you know, if you relate to something, it's easier to recall it, you know, to bring it up.
Now, a lot of people may not know that you were very profoundly affected by the Vietnam War. Tell me about that a little bit.
I was in Vietnam as a soldier, and I had a speech impediment as a result of the war. And I knew that in some ways that I had to communicate. And in communication, fortunately, I had this ability to draw, but it was always one of those hidden abilities. But in order to communicate, drawing obviously was one of those ways to communicate. And eventually, that was my way of communicating. And I knew that I was going to have to do more than that. But got speech therapy and the whole thing, and finally was able to talk.
In a sense, your artwork gave you a new voice after the Vietnam War, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And not only gave me a new voice, it gave me a new direction. And I think that was more important because I didn't know what I was going to do. Mm-hmm. And I think because of the artwork, because me not being afraid to express myself through my art, was helping me find a direction for whatever energy that I had. And I thought that was really pinnacle. It was really crucial that everybody wants to do something, and this was it.
Now, as we look at some of these pieces of art here that are so diverse and so beautiful, I understand at one point you said that you see art as an avenue. An avenue to where?
I was creating art. I had no realization that art was really creating me. So that's when I say I have an avenue, that the avenue, it's a long avenue, it's a stretch of the road, and it's all about the process and the development and everything else. But I found that through art I was able to travel, and probably about 4 or 5 or 6 different countries. I was able to communicate in a different way with different people whose language I did not speak. Let me put it this way. I remember when I used to go to different countries and I had a camera. And people would, they would sort of stand back. But if I went to a different place and I started drawing, people would crowd around me. And there is an interest. But it was one of those things that I realized that there was a little magic in there. And there was something that was very, very special about capturing another person so creatively.
Paul, it's amazing to realize that despite all your success right now, there was a time where galleries were hesitant to show your work.
I was a young artist who was pretty aggressive at that time and couldn't understand why no one would take my artwork. That you find different avenues. So nobody really wanted in Newbury Street, which was the hub of art in Boston. Nobody was interested. Few people in New York, even the same thing. A couple of people, Laurie Sims says you got to diversify. You have to draw more things than just your culture, your history, or the sentiment about black people and that kind of stuff. So I just said, well, that's what I know, and that's what I like to do. I'm not trying to be, in the Smithsonian, which oddly enough I got.
But you are.
Yeah. I'm actually just expressing myself, and I like the idea of expressing myself. I, on the other hand, was fortunate to have a lot of people who supported me in doing that. So with that kind of support, I was one of those people that said, okay, then just do what you do.
Paul, you mentioned having some adversity when you first got started. What was the turning point for you in your career?
I think the real turning point was an organization called the NCA. That's the National Conference of Artists. I would go to those conferences every year And I was still a student in Mass College of Art and College. And I never really understood the purpose of an artist. There, they solidified it. They really made it make sense. There was my mentor, who I still give all the credit in the world to today. It was John Biggers. And John Biggers was the first person who told me that you're not an artist, that you're an image maker. And that changed my responsibility for just drawing pretty pictures and that kind of stuff in order to say something. And he said, an image maker? I said, wow, that kind of inflates you. I was a young man at the time. And of course, I took that all personally. And I realized that as you gotten older, that everybody's an image maker of one kind or another. You are. But to have that responsibility, not to be burdened by it, but to be kind of responsible for it, made a major difference in what I put out there, what I'm doing, and how I'm doing it, who I'm doing it for.
How gratifying is it for you to have achieved the success that you've achieved through your art?
It is probably one of the things that I was shy in at first to say I want to be an artist, because I used to say, oh yeah, I do art, but I'm going to be. But I finally admitted it, that this is what I want. I'm in this for the long run. And so wherever the long run is, this is what I want to do.
Well, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Coming up next, find out how Paul Goodnight became a Hollywood hit.